I'm obliged to inform you that this meeting is being videoed. Members of the public are entitled to record the proceedings and are requested to give prior notice so that any additional measures that may assist can be put into place. Any member of the public who has any concerns should raise them now. Thank you. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence, but I think they've got a full... Oh no, yeah, Councillor Joyce Barrow is away. Item 2, disclosable pecuniary interests. I'm not aware of any. No, nobody seems to be shouting. Item 3, minutes. Minutes were issued separately. Everybody seen them? Right, accepted? Yeah. Okay, everyone agrees? Yeah. Right. Thank you. Item 4, public question time. No public questions. Item 5, member questions. No member questions. Item 6, scrutiny items. So we go to the Chair of Performance Management Scrutiny, which is Councillor Claire Wild.
Thank you very much, Leader in Cabinet. We had a meeting this morning, and at the meeting this morning, we decided to agree with the Cabinet's decision to pursue option 4 in relation to the council tax support scheme. We did add an extra recommendation, which reads as follows, that the Welfare Reform Task and Finish Group is asked to look at the use of VHP in relation to changes to welfare reform and to review via the Task and Finish Group universal credits after 12 months.
Right. I'm just trying to get my head around what that means.
It means basically that we agreed today to do a Task and Finish Group on the Welfare Reform Task and Finish Group, so on the changes basically.
And they'll look in 12 months' time now.
Okay. We're going to look straight away at some of it, but they will look again in 12 months at the universal credit.
Right.
I will beg your indulgence and stay here, because I'm sure Roger's got plenty to say and I can assist you. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Members, any comments? Or, well, we'll start with Roger.
Thank you, Chairman. Being part of the scrutiny, discussed it this morning. Grateful for the task for the performance management group to actually look at it. Wanted to put a minority report, but I'm told it's not possible, and maybe follow that up elsewhere at another time. But where I was coming from this morning is that with the introduction of the universal credit, especially in May and June, May for most of the county and then June for the south part of the county, which comes under the Leinster Job Centre. This is going to affect a number of vulnerable people. Is in the report the 4 options. With the universal credit coming in, I wanted to go for option 1, maybe option 2 in the future, but I would have asked that to consult, and as a result of the consultation go with option 2. We were provided with a lot of information tabled this morning, which was to my mind a little bit unfortunate, because as the scrutiny training session said, you shouldn't have information tabled at a scrutiny meeting. If you're going to scrutinise something, it should be beforehand. We had a presentation, 2 presentations, but 1 presentation, a lot of information. We were not able to look at the responses from the consultation that was carried out on this, although it's going to be circulated, I understand, before the council consider it. But we weren't able to consider this. But in essence, 1.19 million, which is going to be raised by this, if a 0.4% fall in council tax collection takes place, which has happened in other areas, and it's been up to 1% in some areas, would mean that between about £600,000 will not be collected next year in council council tax because of the staff will be involved in carrying out this. Universal credit will affect here. I have a letter which will be circulating to the Cabinet from a local resident, and it really encompasses a lot of the problems in that the person there has got mental problems, isn't able to work, unlikely to ever work again, is living on an overdraft, he's got a rent increase coming up, receives little help, and he's got to find an extra £200 a year if this is adopted. I'm told he may be eligible for DHP, but he may be eligible for DHP. DHP could be given him. I understand we send a lot of DHP back to government, whereas if we look at Telford and Wrekin, they spend all theirs.
And they also, but they've also got the same system we're talking about.
Same system, but they're not sending £300,000 back to government.
No, because they've gone down the road we're expecting that. We're talking about going down.
I've asked a question about what happens if the DHP money is overspent, because with the universal credit, and I was told if the money is overspent, we would have to look at how we give out DHP. But I think it's a wrong time to change, is where I'm coming from. With the universal credit being rolled out, let's get the universal credit out and into the system, and then maybe look at it.
Can I turn it round on you? How are you going to save £1 million if you don't do this?
I'm not in the administration. I have never seen the financial strategy. I've just fished it out of mine. I've not been involved in any discussions. This year, scrutiny have not been involved in any prior discussions for the issue of the financial strategy, which is now there. There will be no opportunity for councillors to discuss the financial strategy because refusal or otherwise, the first time the council will see the financial strategy is in February. We are not going to be allowed to see it next week, which is what happened last year. We saw the financial strategy last year.
January the 12th, I think, is the meeting we're expecting to go out to.
Well, but the council will not be able to make any comment on the financial strategy until the end of February, when they're setting the budget. That did not happen last year, and if we look at transparency and openness, I think it's a pity that council and members will not be able to have an input before Cabinet considers it and it goes out. Scrutiny this year have not looked at it. But I'm talking about this here and the options. I think it's the wrong time to do it. It will affect a number of vulnerable people and it will drive them into debt.
But I think you've touched on some subjects and not been completely straightforward about them when you talk about Telford and Wrekin. Telford and Wrekin have this scheme. They give out money to help people with this scheme, and that is why they don't send the money back to government, because they're actually helping people because they've got this scheme in place. And that's how I envisage it working in this council as well. So we won't then be sending money back to government. It's almost a way of, instead of sending the money back to government, getting the money into the lock coffers instead, because we're changing the way that the system works. And we're doing something that most Labour councillors in this country, have already implemented. Anyway.
Can I come back?
Yeah, of course you can.
I just can't get it to go green, but anyway, just to come back on some of the things Roger said. The committee have spent quite a lot of time on this. We were there for about 2.5 hours the other week, and we heard from the CAB and also from a lot of housing associations. The CAB brought us some information. In fairness, it was quite London-centric, and they relayed a lot of facts about Camden, where it was only 8.5%. But against that, Haringey, which is also one of the most deprived areas in London, and the Labour Authority, was 29%. We asked for more information to come back to the meeting today. And in fairness, Telford, which is a Labour Authority, has been charging since 2013. They are currently charging 25%. I think Cheshire, West and Chester, also a Labour Authority, that's 25%. So all the councils roundabout are doing this. And in fairness, I think, I don't accept the criticism from Roger, because what happened today was we actually took the time to go through 5 different examples of how it affected different kinds of people. And I think whilst that was very interesting, I don't think that particular exercise had any bearing on the decision that we were having to make. So I don't accept that at all. And as for a minority report, I think this is an old chestnut that Roger brings up for his own political ends. But the situation is, we're not doing anything that other councils roundabouts have done. In fact, the only criticism I'd have is actually a lot of these councils have been doing this since 13, 14.
Yeah, we're very slow doing it compared with others. Yeah.
And if anybody wants to ask me any questions, they're more than welcome. I think Roger wants to come back.
Yeah, no, Roger.
Thank you, Chairman. Minority reports is a fact of life. It's in our constitution. It's how it's applied. It's been there ever since the year dot. If one looks at other committees and other councils, minority reports are possible. It's just this council wants to clamp everything down.
Alan?
Yeah, thank you. I think, quite apart from the issues about whether Telford do it or anyone else does it, and to the extent that they do, it's a deplorable situation where this council is suggesting that it takes well over £1 million from the pockets of the least disadvantaged and the most vulnerable people of this county. This is what austerity and government policy has taken us to, and it's absolutely deplorable given the wealth of other benefit reductions and pain that's been imposed on those least able to look after themselves and support themselves. But there was a point that was made regarding this discretionary housing relief, or whatever it's called, that only some of the examples that were cited would actually qualify for support from that fund. And it was those where there was a gap between the housing, between the rents and the housing benefit. I think of the 6 or 7 examples that we saw, that only applied to 2 of those examples. So although might be some relief for a minority of those that are suffering, it will not be a relief for others. And also what came out of it, I couldn't understand fully, and hopefully the Task and Finish group has set out, is why on earth this council is receiving something like £500,000 based on the government's assessment of the needs of the people of Shropshire, and sending £300,000 or whatever it was back to the government because it's not allocated those funds. What on earth are we doing? Why aren't we using those funds to allocate it to those people most in need? That is what the government, even this government, intends the money to be spent on.
I accept what you're saying. I can assure you that things will change, and that's part of what we intend to do as a council, as the administration. Anybody else, any comments? Right, so this is a scrutiny report to Cabinet. Should we just note it, and this will then form part of what we do with our financial strategy. Okay, right, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Right, and is Cabinet happy that we note the report? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, item 7, Treasury Management Update. Got my name on it, and I've been through it in quite some detail. The only thing that still surprises me is that we can only get 0.42% on our money. It doesn't sound much. And the other one that I found of interest was on page 4, that the 50-year Public Works Loan Board rate is 2.5%, and one does wonder if we should be looking at whether we should be using that at the moment, because the rates are likely to go up rather than down. But that's for the future. Yeah. But yes, so I'm quite happy to move this report, and unless anybody's got any questions. Right. Okay, thank you. We'll take that as accepted then. Right, we move on. Item 8, Quarter 2 Performance Report, Councillor Steve Charnley.
Thank you, Leader. The performance report provides an update on the results achieved and the impact on delivering the outcomes for Shropshire. Performance for the second quarter of 17-18 has generally been positive, with continued improvements or stabilisation of performance. A few highlights in the report. Delayed transfer of cares improved by 75%, with performance now in the top quartile for England. The combined attendance at Theatre 7 and Old Market Hall has reached the highest ever figure, exceeding 250,000 visits, which I think is a hugely positive step. And permanent admissions to residential care is better than the expected profile. I think in general, Leader, it's a positive outlook for the council, and I'd just like to applaud the team who keep producing these stats every quarter. It's a very intense job pulling it all together, and I think they do a good job, so my thanks go to them. But I move the report as tabled.
Okay. Councillor Roger Evans.
Chairman, note it is only Q2, and we've 2 more going through. Note that I did killed, seriously injured is going up, and hopefully we can reduce that number as the year progresses. What I got my hand up was really the Children's Services and their Ofsted report. I think everybody, and I've sent an email anyway, but everybody, congratulations to our staff on that achievement. There aren't many councils which have received that result, so I think it is deserving of this staff involved.
Yeah.
It's good for everybody.
We're making sure that they understand that, and we will be acknowledging that quite openly. I have to say, I shouldn't say I was surprised, I should have said I was expecting it, but I was pleasantly surprised. It really is an excellent result for this council, and you know, let's make the most of, you know, we do a lot of things extremely well. The strange thing about Shropshire is it's a wonderful county, this is a really good council. If we just had a bit more money, we could do so much more, and it is the financial pressures that cause us issues, but other than that, everything is really, really positive. Lee.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the team, particularly in ICS, who delivered such a spectacular reduction in the delayed transfers. Tremendous amount of work, and for those members now contemplating a Christmas break, I think it's just worth bearing in mind that all of the colleagues that deliver that work in and out of hospital do that 365 days a year, and that we should spend some time over Christmas thinking about those people who do that for the support of those who need it over the Christmas period. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the graph at the top of page 26 is a really good indication of how well we're doing in that area. Leslie. No.
It is now. Thank you, Leader. Again, like my fellow cabinet members, I would like to say a big thank you to the staff in the Culture and Leisure team, who have once again exceeded their targets this year. I know that Councillor Evans said it's only Q2, but for us we work on a rolling 12-month basis, so we have exceeded our 12 months figures. You would expect me to do this, wouldn't you? But I would like to put in a plug for the Theatre 7 pantomime. It is, oh yes I will. It's had its most successful year ever. It has actually hit or gone through 40,000 booked attendances already. It's at 93% capacity, and just to give you some idea, we were hitting around 93–94% at the music hall on a regular basis. This is 300 seats bigger, and they have done incredibly well. If you haven't seen it, you really should go, although I will tell you that there are very few tickets left. Thank you.
Yeah, I went the other night, it was excellent.
Yeah.
It really was, very, very funny. Right, anything else on this report? Roger.
Only quick, Chairman. I do note that the libraries in the larger towns are going to be supported, which is to be congratulated. But the ones in the smaller towns and villages, the Tier 2, note that the library staff are going to be...
we haven't got to library yet.
Sorry if I'm boring.
Sorry. All right, I'm jumping.
Right, okay. So, item 8, Q2 has been moved. I'm quite happy to second it, so everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now, as it happens, we're going to defer the library services strategy until the next, until January the 10th, is it? Yeah, and then we'll do that with a number of items on the same day. So item 10 is Shrewsbury Town Centre. Councillor Steve Charnley.
No, that's going to be taken.
Are we not doing it in, we're going straight into, so we need then to go to item
Chairman,
11.
can I
Yeah.
come in?
Yeah, go on then.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm disappointed that there's no discussion on this in the public session. I would like to make comments on it, but obviously I'm not allowed because it's all exempt. But I do note the recent Shropshire Star on the 31st of October, which makes a report on what I think may be discussed, and also the Shrewsbury Chronicle of the 2nd of November makes a comment on it, but I'm not allowed to make any comments on this at all. But others seem to be making comments on it. So I'm not sure, and I'll be seeking guidance on where I can go on this, because I assume you're going to go into exempt sessions, so I can't talk anything about what the headlines here says, Riverside revamp still on the cards. But there's that there, I can't pass any public comment on it. And all the shopping centre owners still committed to plan. I can't pass any comment on it.
Yeah, well, that's the way of the world. You know, we are subject to commercial confidentiality, and some of that is speculation.
Yeah, okay. But
Right,
yeah,
moving on.
Right.
Item 11.
We exclude.
Yeah, exclusion of the press and public, can I ask that that be moved and seconded? Right, and just so we're clear, can we have a vote on it? So everyone in favour? Right, thank you, that's clearly carried.